Hello, welcome to the Carla Knits podcast. This is a podcast primarily about knitting, sometimes crocheting, but all of the yarny goodness and all of the yarny things that I love. I am coming to you from Nebraska. It is Tuesday, August 17th. It is a warm, humid day here. I don't know, did I say? This is episode 23. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. And if you are a new viewer, thank you so much for stopping by. You can find me on social media as cbcraftygirl on Instagram and Ravelry. And those links will be found down below in the show notes, as well as all of the things I talk about, patterns and yarns. You can find information on that down below. We also have a podcast group on Ravelry, Carla Knits, and we currently have a make-along going on. It is the Merry Make-Along 2021, which started July 1st and ends August 31st. So when I'm filming, it's 2 weeks from today. And it was a make-along designed just to help us get a start on our Christmas makes, either for gift making for other people, or if we wanted something fun and Christmassy for ourselves. So there are already many finished objects in the finished object thread on Ravelry. There's been some chatter going on, and there's also been some posts on Instagram. So there are 3 ways you can participate. So 3 chances to win. I will have 3 prizes. And I have shown some of those prizes on previous podcasts. But you have a chance to win by posting finished objects pictures in that finished object thread, just by chattering in the chatter thread on Ravelry, and then posting finished object pictures or your works in progress on Instagram using the hashtag MerryMakeAlong2021. So if you are a quick maker, there's still 2 weeks to make something. So love to have you join us. I'm really excited to see all of the things that so many of you have been making. I've made a couple of things, but I wish I had done some more. So I still have some Christmas making to do even when our make-along ends, but that's okay. I love to make things for Christmas, so that will be just fine. One more thing I wanted to mention before we get into some knitting projects. I am hosting a 12 skeins of Christmas mini skein swap. And I had said last time that I would be hosting it in the Ravelry group, but I am going to open it up to Instagram because I realize that some of you may not be Ravelry users for various reasons. And so I will open that up to people on Instagram as well. So 2 ways you can sign up. You can either message me on Ravelry with your name and address. And I simply asked for your name and address just in case it doesn't work out. If your swap partner doesn't swap with you, then I have your name and address and I can send you something. So you can submit your name that way on Ravelry, or if you are interested, you can send me a direct message on Ravelry with that same information, your name and your address and your interest in doing that swap. So what it is we, a lot of us have leftovers from fingering weight skeins of yarn, whether we've made socks or whether we've made shawls, sweaters. I know I have a lot of fingering weight leftovers. And so there are many scrappy projects out there that you can use those leftovers for. So it is fun to to maybe swap with somebody who has different yarns than you do. You might be introduced, to some new yarns that you're not familiar with. So it's 12 skeins or 12 minis. These are to be 10-gram minis of primarily indie dyed yarn, fingering weight. You can skein them up as mini skeins, or you can roll them into balls. Just need to make sure that they are 10-gram minis, and I did talk about that a little further on the previous episode. And then wrap them individually, and then you will send them to your swap partner. I will be matching up swap partners mid-September. And then you guys can discuss further if you want to add anything to your 12 Skeins of Christmas package. Yeah, other little goodies. That would be up to you and your partner to decide and set a cost for that. And then the package should be ready to go and mailed on November 1st. This is open to U.S. residents only. I know our postage system, we have some troubles with our postage system, so I wanted to keep it as easy as possible right now. So if you are interested in joining, that would be so great. If I have forgotten something, you can go back to the previous episode where I talked about it maybe a little bit more in depth. Ravelry users, there is a discussion thread open on there where I talk about it more in depth too. So reach out to me with comments down below if you have questions, or if you want to sign up, please just send me a message on Ravelry or a message on Instagram with your name and your address. Okay, so I hope some more of you will be joining in that. All right, time to get into some projects. My finished objects, I have two, and one of them I am wearing. I am so excited. So I know some of you, if you have joined me before, probably recognize what this is. This is my Autumn League pullover, which I started in June. I think I looked back at the Ravelry page and it was June 4th. So this has been on my needles for a while. So I've been working on it, 2 months. I was knitting this sweater as part of a knit along hosted by the Strings Attached podcast with Mallory and Frida to knit this, excuse me, Autumn League pullover. Excuse me. And this is a DK weight sweater pattern. The Autumn League pullover is by 2 of Wands. The construction, excuse me, I guess maybe I'm a little out of practice for talking. Sorry about that. So the construction was interesting, and I know some people who have made this or are making this did it differently. I wanted to follow it to pattern. So when you started, you did your neckband, and then you joined in the round, knit in the round a little bit, then separated. So then you would knit the front flat or back and forth, you knit your back panel, and then you knit your sleeves flat, and then you seamed it all together. The yarn I used was Lion Brand's Cotton Jeans yarn in the, let's see, deep indigo color. I was really excited to do this because I had purchased this yarn, I believe in 2018, to make another sweater, actually a crocheted sweater. And I never really got started with that. So I was really excited to see this sweater pattern, which used this yarn. So I really wanted to do this. So it is finished. Let me stand up a little bit so you can see. It's definitely oversized. You can see I made the sleeves too long, but let me tell you about this. When I was knitting the sleeves, so I knitting the sleeves flat, I did keep like pinning them together to try it on. And I actually omitted 24 rounds of the pattern. So you can imagine how much longer these sleeves would have been had I kept those 24 rounds. But I believe someone in a comment either on Ravelry or on one of the episodes had said that they made this sweater and the arms turned out way too big. And so I was very aware that could happen. So I kept trying it on. And so I got to a certain point, tried it on, and I thought, oh yeah, it's time to stop knitting. So I did a couple of rounds of rapid decreases to get down to the correct number for the sleeves. And actually, seeing how open the sleeve is, I should have done, or I would have liked to have done some more decreases. But it's kind of a slouchy sweater, and I did go down to the recommended needle size for the cuff ribbing, but actually maybe I should have gone down, you know, several more to make that cuff a little tighter. But if I'm just standing or sitting like this, I probably will just roll the sleeves up. That might be a little more comfortable. I really like how the sweater feels. It is very comfortable. I'm actually very surprised that I am able to wear this long sleeve sweater when it is so warm out, but I am in my basement and I probably will not keep it on after I film the podcast. But very, very comfortable. Just a little oversized. Typically I would make in a sweater an extra large to an extra large, but having read some of the comments about it turning out big, I went down to the medium large, and I'm so thankful that I did that, because this obviously has plenty of room. And I did do 2 gauge swatches, so I did take my time to do that, but it definitely turns out oversized and slouchy. So it is just a very comfortable sweatshirty type sweater. I know as I was talking throughout the process, I had noticed some lines in there, so I don't know if the camera is picking those up. But it is a commercial dyed yarn. I had all of the same dye lot, so I would not have thought I needed to alternate the skeins, which I did not alternate the skeins, but only discovered that, you know, there was definitely some color shifts or color changes, or some obviously stripe change where the colors were not exactly the same. So a little disappointed in that, but when I tried it on the other day, Jeff said, oh, it's really not that noticeable at all. So if it's noticeable on the camera, that might be one thing, but maybe in person, it'll be just fine. So overall, I am very happy with this sweater. Super, super cozy and comfy. So glad to have it off my needles. I do know what I want to say. So I chose to do the seaming. Gosh, I am so sorry, guys. I am definitely going to have problems next week when I go back to teaching. That always happens when I start talking more after not talking a lot over the summer to people. But it's only been about a week and a half since I podcast last, and well, I'm definitely having problems talking today. So I apologize for that. But I did want to talk about the seaming of the sweater. So I chose to do it as the pattern suggested, with the seaming of the pieces rather than knitting it in the round. I definitely would not choose probably to do a sweater this way again. The seaming took a long time. I really did not mind the knitting portion of, you know, knitting and purling. That was okay. But when it came time for seaming the whole sweater together, you started like right above the ribbing, so it does have a split hem, and you seamed all the way up and then all the way down. And to do this, it took me a good portion of my afternoon last week, and then there were several ends to weave in as well. So it really took me a good portion of my Thursday last week to finish the sweater off. So seaming is definitely not my favorite thing. It's not hard, but it is a little tedious. So I think unless a sweater really grabs me that is pieced, I probably will stick to ones that are knit in the round. Does it give more structure to the sweater? I honestly don't know. You know, it's so floppy and oversized to begin with. I don't know. It does, you know, the seam definitely has a nice seam on the inside. I don't know if you can see, you know, it's a decent seam, but whether that does give structure or not to the sweater, I am not really sure. So overall, I'm happy with the sweater. Did not like the seaming process, but I did like the knitting of the sweater. So I hope that has given you a lot of information about that, but very cozy. So I look forward to wearing it in the fall. Fall is my favorite season. So when I can wear a sweatshirt and jeans, I am definitely in my happy place. And this, I know I will be grabbing just as frequently as I do a sweatshirt. And actually, this reminds me a little bit of my weekender. That's a little oversized too, and I was grabbing that a lot last winter after I had made that last fall. So I think this is going to be just like that. So yeah, so that is my autumn link pullover. On to another finished object for today. So this you saw as a skein of yarn on the last episode in my acquisitions, so I hadn't started it, but I have a finished pair of DK weight socks. The yarn is Emma's yarn, which I picked up at the yarn store that I visited in Omaha, and the colorway, it's her August colorway, so it's just August 21. It does not have another color name, but it sure is beautiful. It reminds me of lovely summertime and water, green grass, just beautiful. The pattern I used for this DK weight pair of socks is by the Crazy Sock Lady, Kay, and that is called DK weight vanilla socks. It is a free pattern on Ravelry, using a US size 3, and I knit per the pattern. So did the ribbing and then 30 rounds for the legs, and then continued with the heel flap and gusset and down to the toe decreases. So it was a very well-written pattern. I do have some yarn left over. So if I used Emma's yarn, again, that certain brand, that DK weight actually comes with a little bit more yardage. It comes with 255 yards. And typically, I find that DK weights run between 231 to 246 yards. So this was a generous skein of DK weight yarn, and it was lovely to work with. But I think I could add a little bit more length to my leg and be just fine. But I am really happy with how these beautiful socks turned out. All right. Gosh, I really do apologize, guys. And I'm not even wearing wool, so I know it's not wool. I don't think that is bothering me. There is definitely something floating in the air, though. Definitely have a little bit of itchy eyes, so maybe it is allergies. Okay, so those are my two finished objects. So on to some whips. I have my second, let's see, it's kind of tangled here. My second sock, you saw the first one completed last episode. And here is where I am at on the second sock. This is the Evergreen sock by Madeline Gannon. And this is a Christmas present that I am knitting for my mom. So you can see the beautiful Christmas trees in there. So I am down the leg, and I have done the heel flap and gusset. So, or the heel flap is that beautiful Eye of Partridge heel. So hopefully you can see that beautiful stitch pattern. And then I am working through the gusset decreases right now. I had hoped to be a little farther, but that's okay. That's okay. I did finish the sweater. I did get a pair of socks done. So I should be happy with the progress on this. So it is definitely going to be my goal to get this sock finished this week. It has to be. At least before the end of August. Yeah, so this would be my goal, to get this finished before the end of August. And I am going to use a contrasting toe. I should tell you the yarns. This beautiful green is by Fig and Posy Yarn Company in, let's see, the Sage colorway. And this is on an 80-20 blend. And I really, really love this yarn. It's really soft to work with. I did look up this company on the internet, and I don't see this particular base anymore, but it is an 80-20 blend, and I really, really do love that. And then I'm going to add this as a contrasting toe. I said last time I wasn't exactly sure who this yarn was by. I'm really usually good about putting the tags in, but I don't remember. I'm thinking this is Maker's Haven. That would be my best guess. And so that will be the toe at the bottom. All right. So next work in progress. And I finished my row. I took out my shawl today and I was not finished with the row. So I'm like, I have to finish that row before I show it on the podcast. This is, and it's kind of bunched up on the needles. This is the Cinder Rose shawl. I'm getting hooked around my bags here. Cinder Rose shawl by Kalurah Hudson. Yeah, this just doesn't show well when it's so bunched up on the needles. Sorry about that. So this is where I was last time. So you can see the progress that I have made. So it's a couple inches. I will hold this up. I hope you can see that. That is what the shawl looks like. So it has the beautiful striped sections and then it's going to have that gorgeous border on. So I am getting close. This is a worsted weight pattern. I shopped my friend Joanne's yarn at her home because she was a yarn store owner. And I really liked this yarn. This is Kenzie. Let's see. Kenzie yarn in the boysenberry colorway and the glacier colorway. So this is more of a DK weight yarn. So this is going to probably end up being more of a shawlette. I have this purple section to finish, then one more garter stripe, another purple section, and then I will be on to the edging. So I'm not too far off from getting that edging on. So I'm anxious to get into that part of the shawl. So I really hope I can get a good majority of this done this month. You know, ideally I would get the sock done. I would get this shawl done by the end of August, and it may happen. We'll see. We'll see. I really hope so. This yarn is definitely a little bit more rustic to work with than the merino yarn or even the cotton yarn. So I can't knit for hours at a time on it because it does make my hands a little sore. But the yarn, I think, will soften after blocking. I don't know if you can see the halo on it, but there is definitely some floof and some fuzz on it, either from the alpaca or the angora. This is a blend of many, many things. So very happy with how it's turning out so far. All right. And my last work in progress, which I feel probably has gotten the least amount of attention, is my Ranunculus. Let's see. I will hold this up and hopefully you can see. This is where I was at the last time. And so it's about 2 inches. I did separate for the sleeves with this nice crazy orange yarn. And so I've knit a little bit under the arms. So now it's just a matter of, knitting down the length of the body. And the original, length in the pattern is not very long at all. So I definitely intend to make it longer. So I'm not exactly sure how long. I guess if I had to guess, I would say maybe between 11 to 13 inches before adding the ribbing. So we will see. And then I do hope to be able to make this long sleeve or at least 3/4 inch sleeves. But I did try it on, and I'm really happy with how it's fitting. I love the yarn. I love how this is working up. This is just a beautiful lace pattern in here. Let me tell you about the yarns. The yarn is by Knit One Crochet Two. I'm coming to the end of this one. It's Winter Blossom, and this is in the Sage colorway, and it's color number 312. And I am holding it double with this mohair lace weight, and this is by Craftily dyed yarn in the Succulent colorway. So this is still the first skein of this. This is just the second skein of this. So yeah, I'll be ready to start new skeins on both of those soon. Really enjoy working on this, although I admit when it was pretty hot last night, I was like, oh, it's kind of warm to be working with so much floof and mohair, but oh my goodness, it just feels so dreamy, and I absolutely love it. And I know it's gonna just be a beautiful sweater. So I'm gonna keep going with this. I don't know how long this is going to take me. Ideally, I'd love to be done with this too by the end of August. But I don't know that that's going to happen, because we're 2 weeks away from the end of August. So that may be a little bit ambitious. I am anxious to get some things off of my needles. Of course, I want to cast on all the things. I want to cast on so many things. But I'm really yearning to work on some of my scrappy projects. It has been many episodes since I shared my crocheted granny stripe blanket or Afghan using, the multicolored fingering weight yarns and the magic knot ball. I have not done that. I have not done Scrappy Sunday, working on my scrappy projects. So I'm really kind of craving to get back to that. I also have a Cozy Memories blanket, which I haven't even showed on the podcast, which I need to do. And I'm kind of craving getting back to that too. Again, that's using fingering weight yarn in a blanket. And so, I'm thinking of declaring to myself, I'm gonna do Scrappy September. So the majority of my focus, I don't know if I'll stick to this. This sounds good now, but it may not be realistic. The majority of my focus will be on those scrappy projects. So the majority of my time will be spent on those. So I think I will probably pull those out on the next episode and share those with you. And I may declare September to be, for me, Scrappy September, so that those projects get some love and some time into them. But let me share some other upcoming knitting plans that I have. So I talked earlier that I wanted to, hoped to get a few more Christmas things made. So the socks are for my mom. I shared that I knit the mittens for Jeff, episode or two ago. I always gift him a pair of socks too. So I plan to use this yarn to knit him a pair of socks. This is Regia and Arne and Carlos line. So I do plan on knitting him a pair of socks before Christmas. And then I also would like to make a pair of socks for my son's, I would say girlfriend, but now fiance, Kelsey. And I asked Jenna to help me pick out some yarn, and this is what Jenna picked. So this is also going to knit up, it's a self-patterning yarn. It says it creates a Fair Isle pattern. This is Wisdom Yarns Picks. So also a fingering weight yarn. So it will be fun to see how these two pattern up. So these are two things I definitely would like to make for Christmas. And then I'm also craving something a little different from a sock. So I know I shared this a while ago, but this is a beautiful skein of yarn, and it's a bulky weight yarn by Knitty McPurly, and it was a one-of-a-kind colorway, and it is for her hat pattern, the Everywhere hat. So hopefully you can see that. This is, I believe this is a free pattern on her website. So you can see that. So being a bulky weight yarn, let's see, or an Aran weight, I guess she calls this Aran weight, and this is merino, cashmere, and nylon. I'm gonna knit this hat up. I would like to knit this for another Christmas gift, probably for my sister Laura. So that is some upcoming plans. So I probably will still be knitting on these things, even in Scrappy September. I may say that, you know, I'll do a certain chunk of time per day on those socks, and then like my evening knitting, where I generally have the most time, will be, you know, spent on those scrappy projects. So we'll see. But, you know, there's so many beautiful projects out there, and I'm looking at other sweater patterns, and yeah, there's always something to draw my attention to other beautiful projects. So yeah, we'll see what the fall brings. I guess just a little bit of chatter. Very warm days here in Nebraska. Our daughter Jenna started back to school last week, and then Jeff and I start our teaching this coming Monday. So I will be back to teaching piano at our local college. Looking forward to that. Definitely looking forward to seeing the students again. We've had our final trip to the pool, and we still are going to the lake sailing and getting in the water, which feels just amazing. Yeah, I love being in the lake. That's, yeah, definitely one of my favorite things to do is to get in the lake. So and then of course a lot of knitting and crafting. So I guess that is about it for today. I would love it if you would give this video a thumbs up, and if you'd consider subscribing, that would be great. If you have any comments, please feel free to comment down below, and I really try to be good about reading those and commenting back. Still time to join in that Merry Make-Along to get some of your Christmas gifting maybe a little bit out of the way. And then if you're interested in that mini skein swap, you know, please reach out to me on Ravelry or Instagram with your information. So with that, I will leave you for today. I hope that you are all well and are enjoying your crafty plans or your crafty adventures. And so I hope to see you really soon. Take care. Bye-bye.